Hi guys, it's Ollie from Flight Comp, and I got a new radio recently, this one, to replace this one, and I thought I would make a series of review videos on my experience with the JR28X. But that really got me thinking of how disappointed and sad I am to be leaving the Airtronics or Sanwa SD-10 system. And to be honest with you, I am really sad about it, because for me, the name Airtronics has been with me since I was a little kid, since I first started flying RC gliders back in the early 90s. Airtronics was it. They not only made radios that were basically industry leaders for sailplanes, but they also made sailplanes, and they made awesome ones. They made high-level competition thermal duration sailplanes, and as a kid growing up with RC gliders, that's always what I wanted. When I was looking in magazines and catalogs, it was always Airtronics. You know, they'd have 5, 6, 7 different kinds of airplanes, and I'd drool over their ads and model airplane news. And you know, I had their radios, I had their Vanguard systems, I had Vision, I had multiple stylus radios. I think I even had a Infinity 660 or something. So it's really sad to leave Airtronics after, I don't know, 25 years, maybe 20 to 25 years of only really using their products. You know, growing up, there were a lot of big name guys that were affiliated with Airtronics. You know, I think Larry Jolly had some part in designing a lot of their wood kits, and I remember Joe Wirtz flying for Airtronics for a long time. I remember him coming out to the field with a prototype Sapphire thermal duration plane that Airtronics made and hand launching it. And I look up to those guys, and that was all kind of part of my upbringing in radio-controlled sailplanes. And now here we are, it's 2015, and bye-bye Airtronics, you know? It's really disappointing, it's sad. Why? Why can't you do something for the people that have been supporting the brand for so long? Why can't you upgrade this radio? Why can't you just make a software update for this radio? I don't understand why it's so difficult, especially since you have radios like this for cars that already have telemetry and backlit screens and many functions that this radio doesn't have. And you're constantly coming out with upgrades and different things for the surface guys. But you basically said bye to the airplane guys, and that really pisses me off. It does. This is kind of like I don't know, like breaking up with somebody, and it's really sad for me. So here we go, my venture into a new radio system, and I happen to choose the JR28X system, and I'll basically show you guys how I get along with the radio, how I learn the radio, what I think of the radio. I've been using it already very briefly, and there's already some things that I've come across that I really don't like, and I'll let you guys know about those things, and I'll tell you guys just about my overall experience with the radio. So do you know what it's like to step up to a winch with your $3,000 model and worry about if your link between your transmitter and your receiver is solid? Do you know what it's like to be flying in a contest and wonder if you're going to have a fade or a brownout or whatever? I don't. I didn't. None of that stuff ever happened to me. I've never had a single issue with these SD-10 systems, and I've had a few of them, with both types of receivers, the -1 and -3. I mean, I've never had a single issue. Every time I threw my expensive airplane, I knew that nothing was going to happen related with the signal from the radio. I knew it was going to be solid. I knew I would never have a problem. As long as my batteries were charged and everything was tight in the airplane and there was no loose connections. Absolutely faultless. To the limits of my vision and beyond. I've never had a problem with the SD-10. So, with that kind of background, how do you pick a new radio system and have confidence in it? It's really hard for me, and it's something I've been thinking about for a couple of years, and there's really nothing that filled the void or fit the bill for what I wanted. Right when the Gröpner MZ24 came out, I got one of those, and I'm a Gröpner dealer, and we sell a few of those radios and other systems. So I got the Gröpner radio, and I played with it, and I installed it in an airplane, and I couldn't really get it to do what I wanted. I couldn't even really get it to do what this radio does already. And I talked to some people that had Gröpner radios, and like, oh yeah, it's easy. Just go in and free mix this and free mix that and do this and do that. No. If I'm gonna upgrade to a different radio, I'm not gonna downgrade in the programming of the radio. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you might get telemetry and some other widgets, but to give up such solid programming features that the SD-10 had, or does have, really isn't an option for me. So that's why I didn't go with the MZ24, because I feel like the programming's not very good, the instruction manual sucks, and the way the nomenclature and the radio works with the software and the programming, I don't know, didn't seem like it was written by anyone that knew anything about sailplanes to me. So maybe those guys, they can come out with some software updates and it'll be better. I know a lot of guys use it. There's sponsored guys that use it and they'll go tell you it's great, but don't ever listen to anything a sponsored guy tells you. So what other options were there? Futaba systems. Futaba really doesn't make anything that I want, except for the 18, which is like a $3,000 radio. I think they have a new 18 coming out now that's more affordable. But let me tell you about my experience with Futaba. And I know there's a lot of Futaba fans out there, and I'm not knocking Futaba. They probably make awesome products. But I know several guys that use multiple different Futaba systems that all have signal problems, that get locked out, that lose control momentarily. And to them it's like a normal occurrence. But for me, I don't want that. So I'm not going to pick Futaba. JR. Okay, let's talk about JR. JR has some pretty good radios. I think they have a pretty solid link. They have the 11X, they had the 9503 or whatever, 9505 or whatever. They have a 14X, they even have an 8X. And those are all good radios, but the software or the programming is very similar across all those radios. And I don't really like the way that JR lays that programming out. And I've used it multiple times to program stuff for customers using their transmitters they provide me. For me personally, I don't like it. Again, I don't think it's an upgrade to the programming that the SD-10 offers, so I didn't pick any of those radios. Jetty radio. That's probably the ugliest radio I've ever seen in my life. I'm not going to use it. And it's expensive. So that led me to the 28X, which, by the way, is really, really freaking expensive, and it shouldn't be. I don't know why this is $2,600 in the US and $1,800 in Japan, but that's the way it is, and it's retarded. And if there's anyone watching this from JR, I don't know what you're thinking or how you expect to sell radios for $2,600 in the US when everyone and their uncle can just go online and get one direct from Japan. And trust me, there's plenty of people in Japan willing to ship these radios to the United States. So maybe you guys should consider that next time you set up your price structure. I don't know. So I got this 28X a few weeks ago, and I've been playing with it. And there's a lot of things that are really cool with the radio. Definitely, there's many things in this radio that are miles ahead of this radio, but there's things in this radio that I don't like and that kind of shocked me a little bit. I'll go into more detail about all that stuff in other videos, but very briefly I can tell you this radio is supposed to be able to connect to the internet. There's no way in hell this radio is connecting to the internet. I've tried to connect this radio to the internet multiple times, multiple locations, hotspots, different Wi-Fi networks, etc., etc., and I've never been able to do it. It's not a big deal, but if you advertise something like that, then it should work. This is an Android-based system, and I think it's kind of glitchy. I think their software in here is a little buggy. I feel like they didn't put a finished product to market, and that's sort of disappointing for something that costs so much money. And I had a really freaky experience with this radio, programming my Pike Perfection. Basically, it stopped working. The little icon on the display that says it's transmitting was still there, and it said it was transmitting, but it stopped sending signal to the airplane. And I turned the airplane on and off, and then on again, and nothing. It wouldn't work. There was power to the airplane, all the batteries are charged everywhere, no signal. Then I tried to turn the radio off, and it wouldn't turn off. So I have no signal to my airplane, and the radio doesn't turn off. What's up with that? It's a $3,000 radio. It really freaked me out. The only way I could get the radio to turn off was to pull the battery out of it, which I did. Now I just put a software update into it, so maybe that had something to do with it, and I went through the process to do the software update another 2 or 3 times after that, and it seems to be working fine now, but definitely very strange, and takes my confidence level. If this is my SD-10 confidence level in the signal, and this is maybe where the 28X started, it's now down here. I'm scared to fly with this radio now because of that incident, and really don't know what to do about that. This is supposed to have voice alerts and other things like that, but in reality it doesn't really have a whole lot of voice alerts, because it'll only give you voice alerts for a few switch functions and the flight mode switches, and it'll only give you voice alerts that you type in. So you type in words and it'll say the words, but you can't put audio in it and have that audio triggered by a switch or something, so you can have your own audio, which I think is stuff that I thought was in the radio, but it's not. The other stuff is that the telemetry displays are terrible. I mean, they give you these little stupid widgets that you can't even really see, that don't, I mean, unless you have the radio 2 inches from your face, you're not going to be able to see the widgets. And they're not really flexible. I mean, you can't really, I don't know. I'll go into that more in detail later, but I think the radio is going to work out for me. Programming-wise, so far, the software has been really good in this radio, and I can definitely do everything that this radio did and way more. This has 15 flight modes. This has 5. That was my biggest gripe with this radio. I just wanted 1 or 2 more flight modes and a little bit of telemetry, and I would have been happy. I would have been happy for another 5 years. But no, Airtronics, that's too much to ask from you guys, right? I mean, some software stuff, some telemetry stuff. Anyway, I'm still pissed off about that. So here's the 28X. I'm definitely gonna go into a much more detail about this radio and actually show you how to program a sailplane with it. Another thing, really briefly, this radio would provide me multiple hours of use. I could charge it once and fly a whole day. This one, I think I get 2 hours out of it at the most. Maybe less, I don't know, but in a contest situation, or if you had a J contest all day long, this radio is not going to get you through that contest. You're going to have to charge it, or you're going to have to buy the additional battery. And even with the additional battery, I don't know if it'll get through the contest, but we'll see. So anyway, there you go. Very, very sad. Kind of apprehensive about this one. A little excited, a little nervous. We'll see how it goes. The new JR28X, I'm going to try to show you guys how it applies to F3J or F3B or F5J models. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again soon.